What's up everybody, I'm Rob, and today I want to talk about 8 tips for buying and selling photo gear online. So this video stems from an email I got from somebody who saw my XT1 review, and I had mentioned buying some used gear in that, and they said, well, how do you find used products? And I thought, hey, that'd be a pretty good video. So what I want to do is I want to break these 8 tips up into 4 buying tips and 4 selling tips. The first tip for buying gear online is to know your product. There's a lot of different products out there that are very similar to one another, but it's your job as the buyer to be informed. So if you want an XT2, know the difference between it and the XT1. Know the difference between a Leica M8 and a Leica M9. Know the difference between a Zeiss Biogon lens and a Zeiss planar lens. There's a lot of products out there, and people are selling a lot of products out there. And sometimes they don't know exactly what they have. So it's up to you as the buyer to know the difference between certain things so that when you're looking at an ad online, you know your product and you know exactly what you're trying to get. The number 2 tip for buying online is to shop with reputable sites and dealers, and especially places that offer feedback. So this is very important. You can go to places like eBay if you want, which has buyer feedback, but oftentimes on eBay you get a lot of as-is stuff and you just don't really know what it is until you get it, because there are some people out there that they're just not very informed. So when they send you something, they're not trying to scam you, but oftentimes it's not exactly what you thought it was. Maybe if you were to have picked it up in a store, you wouldn't have purchased it, and there's often not returns. So shop reputable sites like KEH Used Online is a really nice site to shop at. My favorite is a forum though. It's the Fred Miranda buy-sell forums. And these are just individuals who buy and sell gear all the time. And there's a really great feedback system on that too. So you can see past deals that people have done, and you can see feedback for past interactions and past transactions that these people have done. So you kind of get a feel for like, okay, this person, he ships fast, he ships on time, he's a reputable person. This is exactly what, I can expect to get. And as long as you know your product and you match it up with the right ad and you work out an agreement for payment, those transactions usually go pretty smoothly. It's just things where there's like no returns or as-is products. Any forum where there's not any type of feedback, so you really don't know who it is you're dealing with, you want to kind of avoid stuff like that. Number 3 tip for buying gear online is manage your expectations for used gear. And essentially what that means is that, especially if you're buying older stuff, older lenses, older film cameras, just be aware that these things aren't brand new. So, if you get a lens and maybe the focus is a little bit stiff, or maybe there's some dust in the lens, that happens. And you have to be aware that if you're buying a used product, it's not always going to be mint. Even if somebody says it's mint condition, depending on how much of a stickler you are about your lenses and about your gear, your definition of mint might not be their definition of mint, which is kind of unfortunate, but it happens. So, if you're buying from a reputable site, like we mentioned before, like a KEH or B&H Used or Adorama Used, something like that, you can maybe return the product if you're not happy. But if it's a person you're buying it from, you want to manage your expectations. Ask questions before you get it, but be aware if it's an older product, it's probably going to have a little bit of wear and tear on it. Might not affect the picture quality, but it's to be expected. And the 4th tip for buying used gear online is to pay promptly. If you're in a feedback situation, if you pay promptly, the seller is going to be very appreciative. They're going to give you great feedback, hopefully. And that's, you build up your feedback that way from there. If you win an eBay auction, pay promptly. If you private message somebody and say, hey, I want your product, and they say, yeah, it's great, let's do the PayPal transaction. Pay promptly. Don't make them wait. Don't make them miss a sale. And if you win an eBay auction, don't, completely just decide that you don't want it. Don't be that guy. Don't not pay. If you want something and you win it, pay for it and be prompt. And now on the flip side of this whole thing, you're not buying used gear online. Let's say you want to sell your used gear online. Well, the first thing for that, number 1 tip, is know your product. Oh, that sounds pretty similar to what we said before. It's exactly the same thing. If you're selling a product online, know your product. If you're selling a Mamiya C-Core C lens for the 645, don't mark it as a C-Core E. Don't mark it as a C-Core Z. Know the difference, know what you're selling, market appropriately, and price it appropriately. look around at other used gear that is similar to yours, or maybe the exact same lens or exact same camera. Know what it went for. You know, if it went for $700 a week ago, but it was $1,000 last year, chances are you're not going to get $1,000 for it anymore. You're going to have to price it more around $700. It's up to the buyer to know what it's worth to them, obviously, if prices fluctuate. But know your product. Label it right, price it right, and it'll sell. The number 2 tip for selling used gear online is that reputation is everything. That feedback is important. So you want to make sure that you are selling things online and you're being truthful about your descriptions, you're being truthful about your pricing, you're being great about your shipping. Reputation is everything. Those stars on eBay are important. Those positive, great feedbacks on Fred Miranda buy-sell forum, those are important. You don't want a fair or a poor rating. You don't want to get, negative ratings on eBay. Reputation is everything. If you have Twitter friends who are selling stuff and buying stuff and you stiff somebody, that word's going to get out. And, you're not going to be able to buy or sell anything, chances are, after that, just because your reputation is tarnished. So be aware of that. Reputation is everything. Which brings me to the 3rd tip for selling. Again, provide good descriptions and photos of the item that you're trying to sell. I see a lot of times where people say like, oh, I'm selling such and such lens, here's my, contact information, and just, going off of feedback alone, maybe they've got a lot of great feedback, but they're like, oh, I'm too lazy to put pictures up, but you know what you're gonna get. No, I don't know what I'm gonna get. I want to see photos. I want to see the product. If you say, oh, it's got some light scuffs on the outside, but it's great. I mean, that's fine. You got great feedback. I could take your word for it, but let me see the scuffs. Let me judge for myself. So provide photos. Put a thorough description on there. It's a used product. So let's talk a little bit about how long you've had it. Are you the original owner? Why are you selling it? Like information, make me more comfortable. So if I want to give you hundreds of dollars on faith alone, like a PayPal payment, make the buyer comfortable and your stuff will sell. If you're wondering why your stuff's not selling, you're probably not being descriptive enough. You're probably not giving them enough information. If you look at a dealer like a B&H or an Adorama or something like that, they've got huge amounts of manufacturer information. They've got customer reviews and stuff like that about the lens. So people want to research a lot before they buy something. So if they want to buy used stuff and you're selling it, make sure you tell them a lot of that information so that they feel comfortable with the purchase, and show them pictures of it. Show them the dust in the lens, show them the outside of the lens, show them the camera, show them the menus that, that show the camera's still working. Heck, if you want to even make a video showing all the shutter speeds through the film camera just to make somebody feel comfortable with the purchase, do that. It's really important, and it's going to make things sell so much easier for you. And the 4th tip for selling things online is really, really simple. So just ship promptly after you receive your payment. And ship it securely with tracking information. So basically, as soon as you get payment, hopefully you already have it boxed up. Box it up well, bubble wrap it well, pack it as if you're getting the lens, or you're getting the camera, you're getting the gear. If you were to open that box as the buyer, how would you want to see it? Would you want to see it wrapped up in newspaper? No, put some bubble wrap around it. We all have gear acquisition syndrome. We all know all the boxes and bubble wrap we have lying around. Take some of it out of an old box, package your stuff up nice, and ship it promptly, next day or the day after if you can't get to that. And provide tracking information. Say, hey, such and such, great doing a deal with you. Here's the tracking information, should be with you in 2 days. Boom, done. They're going to feel so much better that they have tracking information now, and it's going to be a great transaction. And definitely, always look for a signature option on your tracking information. Make somebody sign for it. If it's a receptionist or somebody at the house that you're shipping it to, if it's a $1,000 lens, insure it, and get signature. Spend the extra $9, $10 that it costs to do that. Protect yourself, protect the buyer, and make sure that somebody's there to sign for it so it's not just being left on a porch somewhere. It's just common sense. Really, honestly, like, what is it, 10 bucks, 20 bucks even? Just do it. Just, make sure that it's insured and somebody signs for it so you can say, boom, it was received here. That way, if you, God forbid, you do have any problems, at least you've got some proof that it was received. So listen, guys, I'm going to leave links down below for some sites where I buy and sell used gear. There's going to be some retailers down there. There's going to also be some forums down there. And the biggest thing is, the bonus tip is, just use common sense. If you see something that's too good to be true, It usually is. And if you're having a transaction that doesn't feel right, something's up with the buyer or something's up with the seller, have a dialogue about it. Or if they're not being forthcoming, it doesn't feel right, just back off, back away. Maybe it's not going to work out. Probably safer that way than, trying to force it. But listen, if you guys have any advice for buying or selling online, or you want to add some more tips or add anything else to the conversation, leave it in the comments below. I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And as always, I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.